Muy bien, fantástico. And I am going to show you the item you will want to have handy so that you can grab it now, because I don't always remember what I'm supposed to have. Oh, this bottom half, right? These little prompts here that we had from last week, and then talking about what we don't like, right? You know, if you need that as a little reminder, because it's got your little prompts at the bottom, then great. Make sure you've got that handy, whether you pull it up on the screen, on a second screen, or whether you have it printed out, whatever it may be. Give you a couple minutes to go check for that. So talking about what you may not like to do. We've got a little video that's going to give us some examples about how people talk about what they don't like. And I think it's at a pace that I don't really have to slow it down. So we're going to pull this up, but I am going to leave the captions, closed captions up for you, subtitles, so that you can follow along. And you know, they won't be attempting to use any one term in particular, but they're going to talk about what things that annoy them. Oh, and you can see the title at the top, or you will be able to see it. It's called Pet Peeves. Oh, well, maybe you can't see it because it's probably got the, there we go. Pet Peeves. And so it's going to be a pretty, oh gosh, almost 4 minutes, but not quite. Menos de 4 minutos. Okay, so this will be our warm up here.
Perdón por llegar tarde. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y tú? ¿Qué te pasó? ¿Por qué llegaste tarde?
Why did you get here late?
Ay, la verdad estoy muy estresada. Un carro delante de mí iba muy lento.
A car in front of her was doing what?
Was very slow.
Really slow.
Yeah, was going really, really slow. And we know it was going, iba, well, she's doing a description. Yeah. So she uses that imperfecto. It was going really slow.
Y todos estábamos haciendo fila detrás de él. Es muy peligroso ir tan lento.
Oh, what is she, you know, hacer fila? Hacer fila is to make a line, go in a line. There are a couple different ways to say that you go in a line. One is hacer cola. One is hacer fila. Fila can be, well, we say single file, right, for a line. Okay, and he's going to talk about what annoys him. He's going to use a verb that's like gustar.
Lo sé. A mí también me molesta cuando tengo prisa y no puedo ir a una velocidad normal.
It bothers me when I am driving and I can't, you know, can't go at a normal speed. I'm in a hurry. Tener prisa.
Me desespera mucho que no avancen rápido porque quiero llegar a mi destino.
Sí, ya sé. Otra cosa que me molesta mucho.
Another thing that bothers me a lot, me molesta mucho, me molesta mucho. It bothers me a lot.
Mucho cuando manejo es que los carros se acercan mucho y pueden chocarme.
Okay. I'll back that up a little bit so you can see the subtitle a little bit better. Cuando manejo, when I drive, cuando manejo, es que, otra cosa que me molesta mucho, another thing that bothers me a lot. Otra cosa que me molesta mucho cuando manejo, when I drive, es que, is that, es que los carros se acercan. Cerca means close, right? So se acercan means they do what?
Follow closely.
Yeah, they come up close. Se acercan mucho. When they get really close, acercarse is to come up to draw near to something. Se acercan mucho, they get really, really close y pueden chocarme, chocar.
Hit them
Chocar is to
and
crash.
hit me.
Yeah.
Chocarme.
Lo sé, es muy importante guardar distancia.
Es muy importante guardar distancia. It's really important to keep
Your distance.
your distance.
Porque en un tope pueden chocarte por
Yeah.
atrás.
Sí.
A mí también me molesta mucho que los carros no se detengan en la calle cuando voy a cruzar caminando.
Me molesta mucho que it bothers me a lot that these things happen. Me molesta mucho que los carros no se detengan. That they don't stop.
That's stop.
Detener. Tener is to have. Detener is to stop. It's one of the verbs for to stop. Detener en la calle, when they don't stop on the street. Cuando voy a cruzar. Caminando.
Oh,
Walking.
When I'm going to cross, walking. Sí, eso es.
No sé por qué no respetan al peatón.
I don't know why they don't respect peatón.
walker.
Pedestrian.
Peatón, pedestrian. Peatón es pedestrian. A person on foot, a pie. A pie, una persona que está de pie, está caminando, aquí es peatón.
Yo no hago eso.
I don't do that, she says. Yo no hago eso. I don't do that.
Yo sí trato de respetar al peatón,
I do try to respect the pedestrian.
pero sí he visto que mucha gente no los deja pasar.
But I have seen, he visto, here's one of those compound tense things, a perfect tense. I have seen that many people don't let them meaning the pedestrians, don't let them pass by. Dejar can mean many things. Dejar can mean to leave something behind you, like to leave a tip behind, to leave a mess in the kitchen. But here it means to allow. And no los deja pasar, don't let them pass, meaning cross in the crosswalk.
Bueno, pero no te estreses.
No te estreses, don't stress out. It's a negative command. Don't stress out.
Y cuando estás tranquila, ¿qué es lo que más te molesta?
And when you're calmer, what really bothers you a lot?
Ay, lo que más me molesta, ya sé lo que más me molesta.
¿Qué?
Cuando veo una película y mis amigos no paran de hablar.
Cuando veo una película, when I
Watch the movie.
am watching a movie and my friends, and here's another word that means this.
Stop.
Don't stop
Don't
talking.
stop talking.
Don't stop talking. People are talking during movie.
Lo sé, a mí también me molesta. Ayer fui al cine con una amiga a ver una película. Estábamos viendo la película y mi amiga opinaba como si estuviera ahí. Abre la puerta, corre.
Okay. So what he's talking about there, when he was watching a movie with his friend, a friend was talking like as if she's going to affect the action going on, you know. So she sees the guy walk up to the door. Abre la puerta, she says to the person at the door. Okay, like you talk to the person in the movie. Yeah.
Sal de ahí, grita.
Get out of there, yell, run.
No sé qué le pasa, ¿por qué hacen eso?
Why do they do
No
that?
sé, ¿se creen los actores?
Se creen, do they think they're actors
A lo
maybe?
mejor, o no sé, creen que no nos damos cuenta de lo que está pasando en la película. No sé, pero me pone muy, muy de malas.
Yeah, really, really nice. Ah, me pone
¿A ti?
malas.
¿Qué más te molesta?
A mí, ¿qué me molesta? Ya sé. A mí me molesta cuando invito a algunos amigos a una reunión, a mi casa,
Ah, when I invite people to my house for a get together, a meeting,
alguna fiesta, y
party.
ya es muy tarde y no se van a su casa.
Oh, and yeah, here comes yeah. One of the many uses of yeah. Ya es muy tarde, and okay, now it's getting late already. Y no se van. And they don't
leave.
they don't leave. They don't get out of the house. Yeah, they don't leave the house. You're waiting for your people that you've invited to go. It's kind of, let's go with it. Come on.
Ay, sí, sí me ha pasado. ¿Por qué hacen eso?
No lo sé. Y aunque a veces veas el reloj,
Sometimes you look at your,
What?
okay, aunque a veces veas el reloj, even if you look at your watch or you start to pick up all of the dishes, trastes would mean your dishes and your, everything from what you've been eating. So silverware, all the dishes, all the cups, all the glasses. So in other words, he's dropping hints, looking at the watch, picking up behind everybody. They're not taking the hint.
empieces a recoger los trastes.
A bostezar.
Oh, bostezar. Yawn.
No se van de tu casa.
They
Sí me
don't
ha
go
pasado.
home.
No sé por qué.
Tal vez se la están pasando muy bien y están disfrutando el momento.
Maybe they're just having a good time. La está pasando bien. They're having a good time. Están disfrutando el momento. They're enjoying the moment.
O tal vez no les gusta su casa.
Or maybe they don't like their own house. Yeah.
No lo sé, pero normalmente son educados y les gusta pasársela bien.
So, okay, when they use the word educados, educados does not mean educated. Educados here means well-behaved, polite, polite, educados. Maleducados means rude. Educados would mean polite.
Sí. Pero sí, yo creo que ya no hay que quejarnos tanto.
Sí, no hay que hablar de cosas negativas. Mejor hay que hablar de cosas positivas.
Sí.
A ver, ¿qué es lo que más valoras en un amigo?
So he said, okay, we're going to cut the negative talk now. ¿Qué es lo que más valores en un amigo? What do you most value in a friend?
¿Qué es lo que más me gusta y valoro de un amigo? Valoro su honestidad. Y me gusta que me diga las cosas que no le gustan.
Las cosas que nos molestan.
Sí.
Si te gustó nuestro video,
I like them to tell me if they don't like something, is what she's saying there. Vale, magnífico. Ok. Muy pronto ustedes van a conversar. And Patricia, we're going to get to your question after our little time doing some conversations. So I do want you to talk a little bit about what you may not like and, try to insert some of those I don't like phrases, talk about them, right? I gave you some topics, like caminar 10 millas. Maybe you don't want to walk that long, right? El clima del Polo Norte, los sardinas. I'll put this up so you can see them again. So we're all looking at them together. Todos juntos. Ver, sí. Pero no tienen que ser estos temas. They don't have to be these themes. They could be other themes, of course. Las sardinas, los políticos, politicians, y la dieta vegetariana, la temporada del monsoon season. Oh, mariscos, seafood. Some people have really strong feelings about certain kinds of foods. So whatever it is that you might find somewhat annoying or it seems not so great to you. And remember, a lot of times, what we may want to give beside just saying I don't like it. And it can be as simple as saying no me gusta mucho. Putting that word mucho in is often extremely helpful because it cushions the blow of just saying I don't like something. We can also say no es para mí. Well, it's just not my thing, right? Prefiero, I prefer, and give an alternative is always considered a good thing. And other ways to say it's not quite my thing would be no es de mi estilo or no es lo mío. Any of those things. So I want you to try to work some of those in when you talk about your topics. We're going to divide you into some groups and give you some time to talk. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Is there any question about that before we start off tonight? ¿Sí o no?
No.
No? Okay. A ver. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Yeah, I think we're going to have you in 3 groups for tonight. And we'll give you about, 5, 7 minutos, about 7. 7 minutes sound good. 10 might be a little long. 7 might be about right. Okay. And so remember to hit your join button. Oprimen join. Excelente. Tengo a ustedes tres. Wow, I've got you three back at least. Okay.
There are two meanings to mariscos, correct? Seafood and the other is shellfish.
Oh, yes, yeah. There are two. I was thinking at first, no, there aren't. Yes, there are. Sí, tienes razón. Tienes razón, Susana. Mariscos typically is used in real general terms as seafood of any kind, but mariscos more definitely would be shellfish. So things that do come in a shell, like, mussels and oysters and clams and things like that. Although I think they usually throw camarones, shrimp into that category too. So, okay, vale. You'll probably want to take yourselves off of mute because coming out of Zoom room puts you back on mute. Muy bien. ¿Tienen preguntas o tienen ustedes ideas que quieren expresar después de practicar?
Una pregunta.
Sí.
Do the rules still apply if you start a new sentence? And what I'm trying to say here is, first of all, the first part of the sentence, I didn't use, gustar, I used quiere, so that could be a screw up. But let me tell you my first sentence, and then I'll tell you my second sentence, and then tell me all the 12, 13 things I got wrong. You ready?
Oh, come on.
Okay,
Vamos.
here we go. Mi esposa quiere caminar, pero yo no me gusta mucho. Period. Next sentence, prefiero que construir. Can I do that?
Prefiero construir. I prefer to build.
So in that case, I don't use the K, the Q.
No. Preferir does not need the word que. Tener needs the word que. And this is where a lot of times when we match up a couple of verbs and make them walk together and, I want to do something. No quiero caminar. I don't want to walk. No quiero caminar. I don't need anything between quiero and caminar. Prefiero construir. I prefer to build. I don't need anything between them. So I don't need a que there. Tengo que construir algo. I have to build something. Now I need the word que. So whether or not you use a little word between the two verbs that talk about the same action depends on that first verb. What is it? Tener always has to have que. Now, I'm going to give you, as surely as I've done this, let me show you one thing real quickly, Federico, because before I give you an untruth.
I'll never know, so you're safe.
Yeah, yes, you would. Okay. Now, remember, when that first sentence, you said, a mí no me gusta. Remember that if you say she likes this, but I don't, a mí no me gusta. We can't say yo no me gusta. It's always an a mí no me gusta. A mí no me gusta. But more to the point, because you were using something else where you brought in a nice thing and you brought in the alternative of prefiero. Rather than just saying I don't like to your partner, you say I prefer to do this instead. Prefiero construir. Prefiero construir. Okay. And prefiero construir, they're going to go right next to each other. I myself prefer to be doing this. If I prefer that somebody else does the building, that would change a little bit. Now, that's not what you wanted to say, but just to let you know, because I was thinking to myself, well, you don't use que after prefiero, but you could. And here's a situation where it could happen. If you want to say, I prefer that somebody does this, Prefiero que, por ejemplo, no con construir. If I prefer doing something myself, let's say that you have two cars. Prefiero tomar el carro, no el camión. Let's say you have a truck and a car, as we have in our house. And you say, prefiero tomar el carro. I prefer to take the car, no el camión, not the truck. Okay. Then prefiero tomar is fine. But what if you want somebody else? You say, oh, you're doing a big messy job with all that building. I prefer that you take the truck. Here's a case where que may sneak into a sentence with prefiero, but watch what happens. Prefiero que tú, and I'm going to put the tú in so that you can see that I'm switching from yo to tú, from yo to tú. I'm switching to a different person. Prefiero que tú tomes el camión. Prefiero que tú tomes el camión. I prefer that you take the truck.
That's the subjunctive.
That's the subjunctive. And why is that? Why is it not Thomas?
It's a thought. It's a preference.
It's a preference. And one human being, I prefer that
You.
a different person do something. So what I wanted to tell Federico was, oh, we don't need that word que. And then I was going to say, and I almost bit my tongue, prefiero construir. Well, we don't need que. Well, we don't need que. If I'm talking about what I myself prefer for myself, prefiero is going to go right next to a verb. Prefiero construir. Well, she wants to walk, but I'd rather be building stuff. Prefiero construir. But if you want, que could come into this mix. Que could, if I want to say that I prefer that other guy does something.
So is the key here the link between que and subjunctive?
That's part of the key. That's part of the key, because as surely as I almost told you a lie that prefiero never uses que, well, sometimes it does. It uses this que link if it wants to say that one person prefers that somebody else does something. Then I do need that little word que. But now I'm not talking about what the one person prefers for themselves. I'm talking about what one person would like somebody else to do.
Right.
And that somebody else hasn't done that thing yet. So that's why that happens. So you have already started to hear this sneak in quite a lot in Destinos, but it is a situation where prefiero very well may use que, but now that means the que, and you're right, Federico, in a sense, it's a very good way, the way you phrase that que is actually a link. It is a link warning somebody, oh, now I'm going to talk about what I want somebody else to do. And then you have to finish that off with a verb that looks wrong, like it's taking the wrong conjugation, because it's indicating that that action isn't really happening yet. Oh, you haven't really taken any car at all yet, but I really want you to leave a little car for me because, wow, you're going to be doing a lot of messy building. Hey, take that truck. Prefiero que tomes el camión. So surely as I tell you that preferir does not need que, it might if you switch from one human being to talking about somebody else, what you want somebody else to do.
So are there subjunctive cases where you don't use que?
Very seldom.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay, I'll give you an example where you might not hear a que. Oh, your dear heart is going to have muddy boots, and you don't know which car they took They're going to be getting back in after the monsoon with muddy boots. Oh my gosh. Ojalá, ojalá, ojalá que, ojalá que tomara, and I'm going to have to use a past here because you're talking. Yeah. Ojalá que tomara el camión. And now I'm using a past subjunctive instead of a present subjunctive. Don't worry about that. Ojalá que tomara el camión. Hopefully he took the truck. Wow, I don't know which car he took. Which vehicle did he take? Ojalá que tomara el camión. Ojalá, ojalá. I use que with ojalá. Some people don't use a que with ojalá. And ojalá always calls for subjunctive because ojalá means, well, God willing, or gee, I wish, or hopefully. And so ojalá always introduces subjunctive. But some people may skip the word que and some may not. But most verbs, the vast majority of them, will use que to introduce a subjunctive clause. So let's take this thing of taking the truck. Prefiero que tomes el camión. Maybe you want to phrase it as quiero que tomes el camión. I want you. Quiero que. You can't skip the que there. Quiero que, you can't skip the que. Quiero que tomes el camión. And Federico, you're right. The que, in a sense, starts to tweak your listener's ear to say, oh, here comes a little sub-sentence talking about somebody else. It's one of those auditory clues. You might phrase this idea as sugiero que tomes el camión. I suggest that you take the truck. Recomiendo que tomes el camión. I recommend that you take the truck. Insisto en que, oh, you have to have the en que with insisto. It's just the way it is. You just have to know that. Insisto en que, insisto en que. Insisto needs those two little words, en que, en que, en que. Insisto en que tomes el camión. A ver, bien. Okay, it could be any of those or a bunch more. Oh, te pido, okay, and this came up in Destinos this week, except I think they used a le pide, so they used pedir. Te pido que tomes el camión. I ask that you take the truck instead of my little car. All right, so you get your muddy boots in the truck, not in the car. So there are a whole lot of these kinds of verbs that often will use subjunctive in the latter half. And notice all of these, except for ojalá, where I've got some leeway, because some people just leave the que out with ojalá. But in all these other cases, we need that que to introduce the second half, because the second half is talking about somebody else. I want you to do this. I suggest that you do this. I recommend that you do this. I insist that you do this. I ask you to do this. Even, watch this. Me gusta que tomes el camión. Oh, I really like it that you take the truck, that you're thinking about me not having to clean up after you. Me gusta que tome. Anything that talks about emotions. Anything that talks about emotions. Me alegro que tomes el camión. Wow, I'm really happy that you do that. Verbs of emotion, verbs of asking somebody to do something, whether it's really polite asking or boy, you better do it. It doesn't matter how forceful or how laid back you are about asking. when you are imposing your will or your emotional state on somebody else's action, that second half will be what they call the subjunctive.
Okay.
So yeah, that is what happens there. So you're right. Prefiero might have that word que, but only if it hauls in a subjunctive after it.
And just a quick question, it's not incorrect to put a K after ojalá, is it?
Oh, no, I use ojalá que, I always use que with it.
Okay.
I always use ojalá que. But some people just drop that little word and it's just been over hundreds of years come to be accepted that people can do whatever they want with that one little phrase. I think because technically ojalá is not a verb.
Uh-huh.
It's not a verb, it's just this word that talks about wishing. Okay, bien?
Sí,
Vale?
gracias.
Okay, magnifico. Más preguntas. Anything else you want to share or ask about or lo que sea? Nada, nada, nada. Okay, nada. Okay, we're going to get to a question that came up. From Patricia before I jump into anything else. Pat had a question. And the question was, oh, you know what? I'll put it on the share screen here because again, that will be easier for everybody to see it easily without me making it into super big kind of script. This came from a Duolingo question. And Patricia, correct me if I got this wrong, because unfortunately it did and then it did not allow me to do cut and paste. First question was, well, one question, one of the two questions was, in Duolingo, they were talking about watching TV and they used both ver and mirar to talk about, you know, ellos ven la televisión, ellos miran la televisión, and wait a minute, I thought it's supposed to be ver. Well, this is one of those things that regionally might depend on who you're talking to. There are people who never use mirar with televisión. They think it's weird. And yeah, it may sound weird to them, but it's, you know, they just say, veo la televisión, veo la televisión, veo la televisión, o veo la tele. I watch the TV. There are other regions where people say, oh, no, miro la televisión, miro la tele. And yes, you might be able to use either one interchangeably. I do know a lot, the people who object seem to, when they do object, seem to object to this one. People who like to use ver really, for some reason, find it odd when they hear people using miro la televisión. And a lot of books will print it as miro la televisión. I personally, with just people I've conversed with, I think veo la televisión is a little more common, but you know what? That's my personal opinion. And, you know, it's driven by people I've spoken with. So maybe somebody who comes from a different region might say, no, 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 it's perfectly okay to use mirar. But in other words, will somebody understand what you're saying? Yes. Might they think it's an odd verb? It depends on where they're from. So there's one question. The other question came up from Duolingo, and this one I left a second because it's a little bit more complicated. And I'm not quite sure. I think they have you do this in a fill in the blank. Am I right, Pat?
Word bank. You had to choose the words.
Oh, word bank. Okay. A mí me encantaría. And you know, the beauty is that really you knew what they were talking about, but you're like, well, that looks like a weird use of encantar. But you knew what they're talking about, right? You knew that it meant loving something. A mí me encantaría caminar entre dinosaurios. And initially this came up as a question because, hey, shouldn't we have that there? But probably not,
Why?
because here's where I would use los. A mí, and of course, claro, los dinosaurios no existen.
Around.
Here's how it would have to be if we dragged out that little bit, el trocito, that little piece that says caminar entre, caminar entre. So the first sentence says, I would love to walk amongst the dinosaurs or amongst dinosaurs in general. Me encantaría caminar entre dinosaurios. I would love to walk amongst dinosaurs. But where we would need the los would be if we take out that infinitive segment of the sentence. A mí me encantarían los dinosaurios. Then yes, you would need this to be plural because you're talking about these things, plural, right? Encantaría is singular here because you're really talking about caminar as what you would like. Here we're talking about a plural thing that you would like. And so we would have to put in the los, and we would have to make it encantarían. Okay, so that's like one level. Are we good so far, Pat? See?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't have the choice of putting in the article, and it just surprised me. I was ready to put it in and it wasn't there. So
This is the kind of sentence that often messes us up with gustar, because people think this and think dinosaurs, more than one, but it says walking amongst them.
So it's the infinitive that,
Caminar takes over as the guiding
okay.
concept. The guiding concept is that activity as opposed to a thing, okay?
Okay.
A thing is just the noun, but doing stuff paired up with a plural thing is going to look at that activity of caminar and say, aha, encantaría, singular, singular, because what we really have is an activity, an action, an infinitive. Me encantaría caminar entre dinosaurios. Okay. And the
But
other
if you put in los there and said caminar entre los dinosaurios, it would still be okay,
it
wouldn't
would
it?
still may make sense. It would still be okay. But okay, por ejemplo, for example, I would think like, let's say, it's going to depend on the context. If you have a little kid who just says, I would love to walk amongst dinosaurs, because they're fantasizing about dinosaurs, probably not the word los. If you're in the context of being in a natural history museum where they have, one of these diorama things that kids can actually walk, or statues that could, then they might say, oh, there's statues out here all set up in a fake landscape. Oh, wow, I would love to walk amongst all those dinosaurs. And then you might put in that word los.
Then it's a choice, right?
Then it's a choice, but probably it's going to be this, because you just talked about something in a very general way. But when we talk about like with a thing in a general way, we always do include that word los here. So, if in doubt, sure, plug it in. That's fine. The other question, I think, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you heard this or saw it written this way, and wait a minute, encantaría, that looks like way too long. That looks like a whole syllable too long. You say, wait a minute, it comes from that. Shouldn't it just be one of these two? Sure, it should be one of those two. But what they did was, in that first lead-off sentence, a mí me encantaría caminar entre dinosaurios, they used a different tense with encantar. So encanta, encantan would be right now. I love doing that, right? If you wanted to make it an event, like the way something struck you, it would be encantó or encantaron, putting it into past. If you talk about something you used to love doing when you were a kid and like, okay, you probably did it a lot, it would be encantaba or encantaban. So I'm trying to show you is encantar will only have 2 conjugations, but they may flip this into a bunch of different tenses. So encanta, encantan, presente, right? Encantó, encantaron, pretérito en el pasado. Okay, that's past, and it's kind of your reaction to something. Wow, my gut reaction to this was I really loved it, or, you know, I really loved those things. Or, oh, you know, maybe I'm talking about what I used to love doing as a kid. Encantaba, encantaban. That's imperfecto. It means it happened in the past, but probably it was something that happened a lot. Okay, more of a descriptive thing than that just the reaction of encanto, just the reaction of encantaron, right? Encantada, encantaban puts it into the past, talking about what you used to love doing. And now what they have done is they have taken the whole verb. They have taken encantar and they have not gotten rid of the AR. We had to get rid of the AR to use encanta, encantan, encantó, encantaron, encantaba, encantaban. But there are 2 tenses in Spanish, and you've already started to see them in Destinos a fair amount. There are 2 tenses in Spanish that are built upon using the whole infinitive without getting rid of the AR, without getting rid of the ER, without getting rid of the IR. And the 2 tenses that will do that are futuro, future tense. Yeah, hasn't happened yet, future. And condicional, something called conditional tense. So we talked a little bit about future tense. So what happens is with future tense, whenever you hear or see in subtitles a verb where the whole infinitive is used with an ending tagged onto the end, it's either going to be a future or it's going to be a conditional. Okay. Well, sure, we could use it in future. Here's what would happen. Encantará. Right? Conditional would look like this. Encantaría. Okay. Future and conditional are 2 tenses. What do they mean? Future means what it looks like. Okay, it hasn't happened yet, but it will happen in the future, and you're really pretty sure it will happen. Okay. Lavaré el coche. I will wash the car. Cocinaré la cena esta noche. I will cook dinner tonight. Veré, I will watch. Veré mi programa favorito. I will watch my favorite show. Okay, future talks about future, but conditional means that somebody would do something. Would do something in a hypothetical sense. Okay, meaning if it were possible, you would do that thing. Okay, like somebody saying, well, gee, I would fill the gas tank. If I were you, I would fill that gas tank, right? You're talking about something in a hypothetical sense. With encantaría. So whenever you see, and I think there are going to be some examples of this in Destinos, possibly in the walkthrough tonight. The endings for conditional, condicional, will be ia. They're going to look like imperfecto. They're going to look exactly like imperfecto, except we're tagging it onto the whole verb instead of taking off the AR, ER, IR. Okay. And they're going to have endings that look like, yeah, this is what they should look like. Maybe not that vosotros one because we don't use it in Latin American Spanish, but the other, oh, and And just like an imperfecto, yo and el usted will share the same forms. But look at that. Most always means we. N always means a they. The little S here is always a tú. And these two are just like, oh, just like if you had comer, comía, comías, comía in imperfecto, right? Used to eat. Well, condicional just keeps the ER of comer. Comería, comerías, comería, I would eat. Well, I would eat. I would eat. If I could, it's a hypothetical situation. So that's why they use encantaría. I would walk. Well, it's not possible for you to walk with dinosaurs, but I would if I could. And that's where that comes from. It's something called conditional. Okay, ¿vale?
Just wondering.
Bien, no, está bien. They were good questions, but we had to kind of go through the weeds a little bit for that. Okay. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Let's do a little walkthrough on our destinos. And if I don't cover any kind of little question that you had, feel free to shout it out. And because I'm coordinating a bunch of things here, don't assume I'm going to see you waving your hand. Go ahead and shout it out, really. Go ahead and shout it out. We're going to have, some vocabulary that you probably were able to just guess at anyway. And somewhere maybe you might have some questions. El episodio se llama, the episode is called, el episodio se llama Algo Inesperado, something unexpected. Okay. Algo inesperado, something unexpected. So let's take a look at the, van a llevan a don Fernando a otro hospital en otra ciudad, ¿entienden? Lo llevan, they're taking him, lo llevan, they're transporting him, moving through space, lo llevan en ambulancia desde Ciudad de México hasta Guadalajara, porque el especialista que don Fernando necesita está en Guadalajara. El especialista está en Guadalajara, ¿verdad? Ok. Y van y van y van. Y, ¿quiénes vienen al hospital, al primer hospital? ¿Quiénes vienen al hospital? Who's coming to the hospital?
Grandchildren.
Los nietos. Los dos nietos, sí. Ángela y Roberto y Raquel y Arturo. Vienen. And look at what happens here. Here it comes, Federico, subjunctive. It's a suggestion. And this is subjunctive because it's a suggestion. Arturo le dice a Raquel, he tells Raquel, Arturo le dice a Raquel, Raquel, es mejor que entres sola primero. Raquel, it's best, he's given advice, it's best that you do this. Not it's best that I do it, it's best that you do this. Es mejor que entres sola. It's best that you go on in
By yourself.
The first thing. See? And that you go in, he's indicating what he wants her to do. Que entre sola. Que entre sola, that you go in on your own first. Okay.
Es mejor que entres sola primero y hables con él.
Y hables con él, and you talk with him.
De acuerdo.
Okay.
Se va a poner muy feliz.
Se va a poner muy feliz. He's going to get really, really happy over this whole thing. He'll be happy.
Sí, claro. Pero es mejor que
Pero es mejor, it's best that he's giving advice. Es mejor que no se emocione. Emocionarse is to get worked up, get all excited, get all hyped up. Es mejor que no se emocione demasiado. It's better that he doesn't get all excited, like too much for the ticker. Yeah. ¿Sí?
que no se emocione demasiado.
No te preocupes.
No te preocupes. Don't worry. And comes from preocupar, an AR verb. She's giving him a command back. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Bien, aquí es.
Here it is. And here's his room.
Por fin conoceremos a la abuela.
Here is future. It's built on the whole infinitive. Conoceremos. Finally we'll meet our grandfather. We'll finally meet grandfather. Conoceremos. Conoceremos. We will meet grandfather.
Bueno, estoy.
¿Nerviosa?
Sí, pero muy contenta.
Te entiendo perfectamente. Yo también.
Arturo no está.
¿Cómo?
What? Yeah, a lot of times when people want to say, huh? Like, the reaction is, what did you just tell me? I can't believe what you said. ¿Cómo? And he's not really asking how. Say, what? He's not there? What?
Don Fernando no está. La habitación está vacía.
Oh, the room is empty. Empty. Vacía. Empty. Okay. Está vacía. Oh my gosh, they might have thought he really checked out this time, like permanently.
That's great.
No hay nadie.
No hay nadie. Nobody here. No hay nadie. There's nobody. No hay nadie. There's nobody.
Lo habrán llevado a hacer.
Lo habrán made. He uses a future, but it means, he's speculating. Lo habrán llevado. They must have taken him. They must have taken him to do an
Some exam.
Yeah, do some exam on him. Yeah, with the sheets all rolled up, I bet not.
Hacerle algún examen. Vamos a averiguar.
We'll check it out. Averiguar, verify.
Enfermera.
Yeah, nurse. Right. And Monday is always what they say, especially in Mexico. They love the word Monday. Monday. Monday is, again, somebody saying, what do you need? What do you need? But Monday is something you say as a polite gesture, tell me what you want. Okay. And he's being polite too. Disculpe, excuse me. Disculpe. Vinimos a ver, we came to see.
Disculpe, pero vinimos a ver al señor Fernando Castillo y no hay nadie en la habitación.
¿El señor Castillo? Claro, ya se fue.
Here's another yeah. Ya se fue.
He already
He already
gone.
He already left. Yeah, he's already gone. He already left. Yeah, here is already. Ya se fue. Wow, that's all done, man. Ya se fue. He already left.
¿Cómo que se fue? ¿A dónde?
What? What do you mean he left? ¿Cómo que se fue? What do you mean he left?
¿Es a Guadalajara? ¿A Guadalajara? Vamos a preguntar en la recepción. Venga.
Sí.
And vengan is a come along here, okay? Muy bien, y entonces hablando un poquito de Guadalajara.
Jalisco.
If you've ever heard that music, I sing terribly, but Jarabe Tapatio, even though Tapatio doesn't look anything like Guadalajara, Tapatio indicates somebody from this area of Guadalajara. Why that happened, I don't know. It's probably something to do with indigenous languages. I'm not exactly sure. I could be wrong about that, but they talk about Jalisco, el estado de Jalisco. But so Guadalajara is in the larger area called Jalisco. And Guadalajara, of course, being one of the bigger cities in Mexico. And they talk a lot about the culture and some of the neat buildings and all those fun things. Uy, los mariachis. You know, this is typical thing that is, you know, tapatio. The whole mariachi culture is very, very steeped in the history of music in Jalisco. So they're just trying to give you a little tidbit of couple of things there for people who might not know about it. We who live in the Southwest are much more familiar with all of this. Y el arte, they show you the art. This whole thing about murales, it might have seemed like it was a real afterthought, just like, we'll throw this in because we got to throw some paintings in. But no es así. One of the most characteristic and most famous things about Mexican art is its tradition of mural painting. And there were about 3 or 4 people who were really, really big in this area. And I would say this really came to fruition. It really started to gain speed and get super popular and get very recognized in the whole world in the early 1900s up to, let's say, around 1950. So people like Diego Rivera, the husband of Frida Kahlo, is one of the most famous muralists. Diego Rivera being so famous that he even was commissioned to paint certain things in the United States as well. But the mural painting became a real cultural icon of Mexican culture. And Jose Clemente Orozco is another one of their very famous mural painters. So a lot of the public buildings in many parts of Mexico, not just Jalisco, not just Guadalajara or just Mexico City, have these very big murals. And when we say murals, we mean like they will cover whole sides of buildings or whole passageways. They're generally large pieces of art. And they usually tell a story, as you can tell, not always a happy story. Sometimes they tell happy stories, sometimes they tell cultural stories, sometimes they tell stories about the suffering of people historically, and be it political or suffering from the masses being oppressed and wanting to have land granted to them, or whatever it may be. El Mercado Libre, Libertad, they talk about they talked a little bit about el regateo, but they didn't really, they did show you a little example. El regateo, regatear is to bargain. So typically if you go to one of these outdoor markets, they'll tell you how much something costs, but they pretty much expect you to dicker back and forth about that price. And the process of doing that has a special verb, regatear. Regatear means to bargain back and forth until you come to an agreed upon price. So they showed a little bit of that. En 20 no me lo los de, here's a conditional. Dejar means to leave behind. It means to permit. It means, would you allow something? Oh, and she's trying on earrings. Wow, you can't do that anymore, can you? They won't let you do that anymore. En 20 no me los dejarías. Would you let me have these for 20? So, the price was originally higher than 20. En cuanto me dejaría, what would you give them to me for? What would you let them go for? Yeah, would you let this go for 20? Would you give them to me for 20? So she was bargaining back and forth. They showed you a little of that. If you want to get that little snippet, it wasn't very long, but and they used a couple of new vocabularies here.
La comida está espantosa.
Esta comida está espantosa. This food is
Hospital food.
It is frightening. Espantosa. It is frightening, and he does not like, hospital food. The longest running joke.
Mercedes, ¿cuánto tiempo más vamos a estar aquí?
Now, how long are you gonna be here?
Ya te dije, regresamos pasado mañana.
Regresamos pasado mañana. We'll return. Ya te dije. Ya. I already told it to you, Dad. Ya te dije. Ya te dije, regresamos pasado mañana. Pasado mañana, pasado mañana. Pasado mañana, day after tomorrow. Pasado mañana, past tomorrow means day after tomorrow. Okay, they'll never say el día después de mañana. No, nobody's going to say that.
So would they ever say pasada mañana because it's feminine?
No, it's pasado mañana. Pasado mañana, yeah. Perdón. Sometimes they'll pair that word pasado up with a day of the week, like the pasado lunes. You know, so it might be combined with a day of the week as well.
But normally you would say it the other way around. So you would say like el mes pasado, last week.
La semana pasada, last week, right.
Right.
So when we flip pasado and the word pasado up in front, we're saying that, well,
we're saying it's future.
Pasado mañana. Yeah, we are. Pasado mañana.
But would you ever say mañana pasada? Or is that just something they wouldn't say? They would say.
It's got to be in that order. Pasado mañana.
But I know I meant to indicate the other direction, like last morning, yesterday morning, you would.
Ayer, no. Yesterday morning would be ayer por la mañana. Ayer por la mañana. No. Ayer por la mañana. You might say la semana pasada, but yeah, you won't. Pasado mañana is a specific word combination, and it will always be used just that way. Pasado mañana. Okay. Quiero conocer a mis nietos. Not I want to know my grandchildren. I want to meet them. Here, conocer means meet. Okay. Okay, so she, of course, is kind of coaxing him. Ooh. Vaya, señorita. Go on, miss. Por fin, esta comida es incomible. This food is inedible. And she tells him something kind of interesting.
Comida es incomible.
¿Y qué esperaba usted?
¿Qué esperaba usted? And what did you expect?
Eso es lo que le damos de comer.
I have to, they split this up, so I have to show it to you in two different. A ver.
Vaya, señorita, por fin. Esta comida es incomible.
¿Y qué esperaba usted?
Eso es lo que les damos de comer. That's what we give them. Meaning, les is talking about all the patients. That's what we give them. Oh, that's what we give people when.
Eso es lo que le damos de comer a los pacientes gruñones.
This is what we give to grumpy patients.
Grumbling patients?
This is what we give to grumpy patients. Pero a los que me caen bien, but those who fall nicely on me, and what she really means is.
Quit complaining.
Well, yes, ultimately what she wants is quit your bitching kind of thing is what she's trying to say in a nice way. That's what we give people who are grouches, who grouch around. But the ones that I like, I'll sneak them something later. Yeah.
Yes, and you do.
Me caen bien. Me caen bien. When you want to talk about liking people, unlike me gusta, which is for things or activities, when you say you like a person because you just enjoy being with them, it's me cae bien for one person, right? Me caen bien for I like them. Me caen bien. They fall well on me. Me caen bien. So that means you like somebody. So she's going to say what we do for the ones we like.
Pero a los que me caen bien, les guardo unos tamales para cuando no está la supervisora.
Oh, I sneak in some tamales when the supervisor's not looking. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's decent food. Si se porta bien, if you behave well. Portarse is to behave. Portarse bien, you behave well. Portarse mal, behave badly, right? Bien? Okay.
¿Sabe cuándo vendrá el doctor?
Do you know when the doctor will come? It's a future, it's an irregular future. When will the doctor come? No estoy segura. I'm not sure.
Pero sabe que ustedes están aquí. Ahorita pregunto. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, gruñe, gruñe. I love that. Yeah, gruñe. It sounds like a grouching, isn't it? Yeah, gruñe. Bleh. That's what that means. Bleh. Yeah, making a grouchy sound. Okay. Oh, van a discutir. We're going to have a fight.
Un amigo mío estudió allí.
¿Y ahora qué hacemos? Ay, Ángela, me olvidaba. Me dijo tu tío Jaime que lo llames por lo del apartamento.
Oh, yeah. I promised that you would call about that apartment thing. Uh-oh. Piece of information that pobre Roberto, él no sabe nada. He knows nothing about it.
El apartamento.
Wait a minute. El apartamento.
¿Sí? ¿Alguien ha hecho una oferta?
Somebody has made an offer.
Una oferta. Lo estás vendiendo.
An offer? You're selling it? Lo estás vendiendo? The lo stands in for apartamento, right? You mean you're selling it?
Sí.
Pero creo que habíamos hablado de esto ya.
I thought we'd already talked about that. Habíamos hablado. We had talked. So now he's putting it way in the past. Not we just talked about it, but like he's talking like before he went off on his excavación, right? I wait a minute. We had talked about this. Oh, yeah, already.
Pensé que sería mejor venderlo.
I thought it would be better to sell it.
He visto otro muy bonito cerca de la playa.
Oh, I've seen another one, really pretty, near the beach. And his gripe is, you did not consult me. No me consultaste.
Pero no me consultaste.
No pude, no hubo tiempo.
I couldn't. There was no time. No hubo tiempo. There was no time. Hubo is a past. Instead of I, there not, okay, there is no time, but no hubo tiempo. Well, you were off, so I handled it.
Ángela, pero yo soy tu hermano. ¿Y qué si yo no quiero venderlo?
And what if I don't want to sell it?
Tengo tanto derecho como tú.
I have as much right as you do.
Roberto, no creo que esta discusión sea apropiada en este momento.
I don't think this is appropriate a conversation at this time. But of course, it will not, Lady
Señor.
Lester. Okay. Y hablando un poquito más de vender la gavia, hablan de hablar con la gente de bien raíces, the real estate gal, and now they're sitting down to have the uncomfortable talk.
Gloria juega.
Gloria juega, here it comes. Gloria plays, what? Well, so what? No, juega here is like a euphemism, really. Gloria gambles. Gloria gambles. Technically, there is another verb, apostar, for betting. But what they want to talk about, well, she plays dice, she plays games of chance, right? So she's betting money on stuff.
¿Juega? ¿Quieres decir por dinero?
You mean for money? Por dinero, in exchange for, por dinero.
US dollars, no less.
Oh,
Yep, that's right. She lives in Miami. That's right.
Miami,
Yes.
Miami. And she was really loving it. Oh, you just give them your card. I just give them my card. Yeah. Couple episodes. ¿Quieres decir? You mean for money? So like, we're not talking about her playing tennis. No.
Sí, es como un vicio.
Yeah, it's like a vice.
No para.
No para. She can't do this. She can't stop. No para. She can't stop. So, wow, there are a lot of verbs that mean to stop. Parar, detener. Yeah, okay. Y, no sé si es importante, quizás no. Okay, yeah, they were talking about selling the place.
Comprar la gavia. ¿Y desde cuándo está en venta?
Oh, another person who didn't know that the big real estate was up for sale. ¿Desde cuándo está en venta? Since when is this for sale? En venta for sale. En venta, ¿sí? ¿Desde cuándo está en venta? Since when is it up on the market? Okay, so now we got everybody mad about real estate.
La hacienda es lo que más quiere, papá.
The hacienda is what dad loves the most. Es lo que, it's what. Es lo que, it's what dad most loves.
Es verdad.
Yeah, true. Okay. Y, bien. Fun little tidbit here, I forgot. Se me olvidó.
Posiblemente Fernando dejó algo incluido en su testamento sobre la venta de la gavia.
Oh, Fernando may have something in his will about selling La Gavia.
Oh,
There might be something in the will. And she goes, wait a minute, you're the lawyer.
Abogado, ¿no leíste el testamento?
Didn't you read the will?
Por supuesto que no.
Of course not.
Le pedí a un colega que lo hiciera.
I asked a colleague to do it. So it's like a doctor treating their own family. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a lawyer, but I have somebody else handle my brother's will because, you know, otherwise it looks fishy. Yeah.
Déjenme hablar.
Okay.
Yo sé que soy el culpable de estos problemas.
Yeah, I know I'm the one guilty of
Y
messing
por
up
mi
the
culpa se
finances.
plantea la necesidad de vender la gavia.
And now because I've messed up with this thing with, you know, the office in Miami, you're checking into the possibility of selling the house.
Pero qué necesidad hay de vender el apartamento.
More real estate problems.
Nos criamos en ese apartamento.
Nos criamos, we grew up. Nos criamos en ese apartamento. We grew up in that apartment.
Está lleno de recuerdos.
It's full of memories. Recuerdos, it's full of memories. Recuerdos can mean souvenirs, but here clearly the context is not about souvenirs, right? Nos criamos, we grew up there, we have memories about this. And she says, ha, yes, exactly.
Precisamente a mí me dan tristeza.
A mí me dan tristeza los recuerdos. Memories make me sad. They give me sadness. It's a very poetic way of saying they make me sad. Dar tristeza is to give sadness. Okay.
Los recuerdos.
Quieres decir que no tienes otros motivos.
Oh, you mean that you don't have some other reason? Motivos looks like motives and automatically looks like it's a fishy word, but motivos here really means reasons.
¿Qué otros motivos podría tener?
Sabes bien a qué me refiero.
You know what I'm talking
No
about.
sé, dímelo tú. A ver, dímelo.
Esto ya lo hablamos hace una semana.
Oh, we talked about this. Oh, yeah.
Ángela quiere darle parte del dinero a su novio Jorge.
Oh, here it comes out. Yeah. He knows that Angela wants to give part of what she's got to Mr. Fishy boyfriend. Yeah. Yeah, see, yeah, she already said nobody in my family likes Jorge. Yeah, because.
¿Y acaso no es legítimo el motivo de Ángela?
Legítimo.
Que piense distinto a tu hermana no quiere decir que ella esté equivocada. Ambos tienen el mismo derecho, ¿no es cierto? Miren,
Todos hemos pasado por momentos difíciles. Ahora debemos contentarnos con que estemos sanos y vivos. ¿Entienden? Esto del apartamento lo pueden discutir más tarde. Cuando...
Let's talk about this later, right? When you're a little more chill. So he's trying to avoid a great big scene at the restaurant. Everybody's all worked up about many things. And, he's, when you might be calmer, cuando estén más tranquilos. We'll do this in the future when you might be calmer, not so worked up.
Además, no dejen que una sola oferta los tiente.
And don't let one offer tempt you. Tiente comes from tentar, to tempt. Don't let one offer by itself tempt you. So he's trying to play both sides. Hey, look, you kids both have rights to the property. Okay, you need to work this out, but let's not just go jump at the first offer that's made. He's trying to be a nice uncle.
Tienes razón, tío. Lo siento, Roberto. Creo que debemos hablar de esto después.
De acuerdo.
Yeah, that's...
Y lleva varios años haciendo esto. Cada tanto se va a las Bahamas, Atlantic City.
Oh, now we've got where all the places where Gloria has gone. Cada tanto, every once in a while, se va, she goes off. She goes off the Bahamas, Atlantic City, San Juan, wherever it is, she can get a gaming table.
San Juan. No puede evitarlo.
Yeah, she can't get around it. She can't avoid it.
Había que protegerla y darle tiempo.
Yeah, I thought maybe I could just protect her and give her some time, but I started to pay her debts.
Cada vez son más frecuentes y...
And she kept taking off, escapadas, her escapes, her taking off without no notice, became more and more frequent. So this has been going on for years.
Cada vez más costosas.
And more costly.
$5,000 en una ocasión.
5,000.
10,000 en otra.
10,000.
Finalmente tuve que sacar dinero de la empresa para poder.
So I had to take money out of the business.
Just have to.
Yeah, it happens.
Devolverlo antes de que se descubriera y no pensé.
Yeah. I thought I would just put it back in before anybody found out about it. Yeah. I wasn't thinking, no pensé. There's the nice period. I didn't think. Pobre Carlos.
¿Por qué no acudiste a la familia?
Why didn't you gather the family together to talk about it?
Por vergüenza.
Por vergüenza, out of shame, because of shame. Vergüenza is shame. I felt ashamed. Well, yeah, we can kind of see that.
Todos son tan honorables. Tan distinguidos.
Yeah, but the rest of my family, they're such upstanding citizens.
Yo haría cualquier cosa por ayudar a Gloria.
Oh, Aria, I would do. Here's a conditional. It's an irregular. I would do anything at all. Cualquier cosa means anything at all to help Gloria. Cualquier cosa. Anything at all.
¿Y ahora qué piensas hacer?
What do you plan to do?
¿Cómo encontrarás a Gloria?
How will you find Gloria?
Ella regresará.
She'll come back. Oh, it's built on the whole infinitive. Regresar. We keep the AR. Regresará. She will return. She will come back.
Siempre regresa después de 1 o 2 días después de que ha perdido todo.
She always comes back after she's lost everything. She always comes back after she's lost it all. Ha perdido todo. Ha perdido todo. After she's lost the whole kit and caboodle.
Para que yo vaya a buscarla.
Or she'll call me for me to come out and look for her. Oh, great. Everybody's uncomfortable about their family situations. Yes.
Les pido que me disculpen.
Oh, I ask you to all excuse me.
Yo sé que en este momento Carlos necesita la ayuda de todos, pero
I know that Carlos needs everybody's help.
es muy poco lo que yo puedo hacer.
There's really not much I can do. I'm out of this. I got my own problems.
Propios problemas que resolver.
Exactly. I got my own problems. I've got my own problems to solve.
Necesito salir a Nueva York inmediatamente.
Okay.
Pero Juan, déjalo, déjalo.
Yeah, let him go. Déjalo, let
No
him
es el
go.
momento.
This is not the time. So, you know, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful things we're finding out about everybody. Oh, en cuanto lleguemos al hotel. Okay, we're coming back to the hotel and now we're going to have the almost uncomfortable, soon to be uncomfortable situation. Oh, ¿quién es el exnovio? Es el antiguo novio de Raquel. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Se llama Luis?
Luis.
Me imagino que sí, se llama Luis.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
They
That's
always play the clown music when Luis comes in, every single time. It's clown music
Buenas
for this
noches.
poor guy. I kind of feel sorry for him
Buenas noches.
in a strange way.
Disculpe. Dígame. ¿Me podría decir cuál es el número de...
Oh, could you tell me Raquel's room number?
Yeah, now this really gets me that he
That
just gives it
bothers
to
me
him.
Too. I thought that was horrible. He gives
You
it-
could not do it. This is back in the 80s,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Remember, it's shoulder pad time, ladies. Yeah. Oh my
It's your
gosh, no one would give that to you now. They
No.
would not give that to you now, but well, you know, it's the 80s. It's a TV show.
Raquel Rodríguez? ¿Cómo no?
Come no, why not?
right. Why not? You could be.
It's your
Come
Yeah.
on, no, why not? Yeah, sure, we'll get that for you. Yeah, oh, 316, there we go, yeah.
Gracias.
Aquí vamos, here we go. Oh, sure, well, I've got his ID information. Sure, he must be safe. He must be safe. Y, ahora se va Juan. They just missed them. Wow, that was, wow. Missed that bullet. Okay.
Es de Ramón. Aquí explica lo de don Fernando. Dice que pasado mañana regresará de Guadalajara. Son solo unos exámenes, como decían en el hospital.
Okay, so they find out the reason why
No hay que preocuparse.
he's gone. They're okay. They're
¿Vos?
pretty chill.
Si es una invitación a cenar,
Una invitación a cenar.
antes debo subir a mi habitación.
Bueno, nos encontramos abajo en 15 minutos.
Meet you in 15. Oh, she says 30.
Media hora.
Oh, okay. Which would all be okay through our little review, except now, and
Como
she
les
says, I
dije,
just want to have a
tengo
quiet dinner
muchas ganas de
alone.
estar a solas
I
Arturo.
really want to be alone
Tenemos
with
mucho
Arturo.
de qué hablar.
We've got so much
Y
to
quiero
talk
pasar una
about.
noche tranquila.
I want to have a
No
calm
quiero
night.
más problemas hoy.
No more problems. I'm done with everybody bickering, right? Y aquí viene, hay un regalo. Hay un regalo de Luis. This poor guy, I feel for him now. I maybe didn't before, but you know, he's got a gift. You say, oh, this is gonna be, yeah, he's gonna find out. We got very, very, very dapper Buenos Aires guy. Oh, notice, yeah, nice suit. Because he's going to dinner. Oh, okay, he's got a decent suit, but you know what? Yeah, little neater. Okay. Es obvio que no se conocen. It is obvious that they do not know each other. Que no se conocen. Los pobres, los pobres. We'll get the next episode.
Pobre Raquel.
Pobre Raquel. Ay, Dios mío. Estará muy incómoda. She will be very, very uncomfortable. So at least we got some answers to some things that were going on through there. Eso es todo. Sí. 42 is going to be the next one. So I'll make sure I give you the link for that.
Yeah.
We keep not getting to our little health thing, but you're going to see how commands. We'll pick up with this next week. I will have a theme for you for speaking next week. I have not yet decided what that's going to be, unless you've got a thing, a topic you want to pick. But we're going to pick out how these things look like commands. They look like subjunctives. So we're going to take a look through that next week. Just some kind of bullet parts about that salud article. Is there a particular topic you want to tackle next week? Or you want to let me choose?
Yeah, no,
No?
that's bueno.
Nada en particular. Okay, muy bien. I will pick something so that you, and I will let you know ahead of time through the email tomorrow so that you can start to kind of gather your thoughts and collect some topics to talk about. I had something, yes, I do have a kind of a topic in mind, but I'll give it to you in the email. Okay. Hablar de preferencias, talking about preferences, things that we prefer, we might like to try, or, you know, lo que sea. Okay, bien. Okay, muy bien. Eso es todo, creo. I think that's it for now, right?
Sí.
¿Está bien? Okay, vale, magnífico. Do you want me to find a particular reading, or are you good with running with a topic for speaking and then running with?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll look at the health thing to see the commands. Is that what
Yeah.
you said?
Check and look. What I want you to do is look through it and like either underline or highlight or do something and pick out things that you think look funny, or, you know, those are going to wind up being the commands, especially in the bullets and the subtitles.
Oh, okay.
A lot of those are going to be commands. And you're going to see that they are formed from starting with yo in order to get to a command, because they're all going to be usted commands. Articles often wind up when, you know, unless it's written for a teenage audience, if it's written for an adult audience, anything that is given as a command, hey, go do this, we're suggesting that you do this, they're going to be usted commands. And that means they're going to start with yo as the base first. You're going to get rid of the o, and then you're going to flip to using the opposite, what looks like wrong ending. So they're going to have a lot of usted commands littered through the whole thing. And you know what you might want to do, I'm going to give you a little suggestion here, because often this helps give people a framework. When you see the big bullet things here, mantenga, I want, like, I would, if I were you, in the parentheses, I would write mantener, mantener. I would write the infinitive it comes from, and then I would write the yo form, mantengo. And I would, wow, if I were a 16-year-old student, this is what I used to do. I'd write mantener, circle the ER, write mantengo, a yo form, and then I would look at, oh, mantenga, ER verb, but an ending. It must be a command. It's either a command or a subjunctive, because command and subjunctive really are not different. When you tell somebody, go do that, turn on the TV, turn on the dishwasher, put that in the fridge, you're really saying, I want you to put that in the fridge. I want you to turn on the TV. I want you to turn on the dishwasher. So commands and subjunctive are really no different. Well, except for the two ones, but they are formed. Those usted commands wind up being the exact same thing as subjunctive. Bien? Okay?
Sí.
Sí.
Magnífico. Ok. Bueno, nos vemos entonces. Nos vemos el miércoles.